Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast with your hosts, Reese Downing and Jacob Workman.
What's up, everyone? It's Tuesday Night Touchdown Podcast, NCAA edition, Conference Championship Week. We finally reached into the season. Fine citizen number one of the evening is to my left side of the screen here. Reese, what's going on, Reese?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Pretty good. The Noles are one win away from the playoffs, though some disagree, but we're still alive. That's all that matters.
Doing better than Ball State.
Yeah, I would hope. That would be an absolute disaster if we weren't, but yeah. So we did tease last week. We're going to have a little bit of a special episode this week because there's very few games. So we've got some friends of ours, one past guest, two new ones that are going to be joining us. Reese, I'll let you go ahead and pop them on. We'll do a little introduction for everyone. So first, this is our friend, our friend Ike. Clearly, he's a Chiefs fan. I don't believe he claims a college football team, though he does root for a few. Wisconsin, you'll hear a few times.
Wisconsin,
IU. Yeah, there's
casual Big Ten fan. I guess.
What a conference to love.
It's
at least it's changing next year, and we're actually going to get some real teams in there that play offense. That'll be nice to see.
It's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, and I truly think USC is going to struggle there. I mean, they struggle kind of anyway, but I don't think they're going to be able to go to the Big Ten and play decent ball.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So we just popped up another one. So this is Scott. Scott, do you have a college football team that you claim?
I'm Notre Dame.
Oh, Reese, I was not told this. Hold on. we have a problem. Hold on. Oh, no.
We've officially go ahead and click on out.
We've officially been outnumbered on the podcast now. Oh, no.
Well, it is what it is.
What? So, you got any good? What were your thoughts on the Notre Dame season this year?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. High hopes. Axel come through pretty low. Yeah, that third loss, depends where you want to pin it on. Yeah, that just really disappointing.
Yeah, and it was unfortunate too because the Notre Dame game, I think, was kind of, or the Ohio State game was kind of the swing of the season. There, they had it, and then right at the end, the Kyle McCord drive to win the game at the end. I think that was a little swing of the season there for them.
A dropped interception and 10 men on the field, and you still lose by 4 inches.
Yeah,
it was a season in a nutshell for them.
Yeah, and you start questioning a lot of things when all that stuff happens too. That's the bad part of it.
Well, I think now at this point we need to check on our last guest to make sure he's okay.
Yeah, so Carter, he's been on here twice already.
Scott.
He's back.
Let's go Irish. Yeah.
We'll have to have a spinoff podcast of Tuesday Night Irish Touchdown.
We can do that.
I like it.
The Carter's been on here twice already. This will be his third appearance. Both times he has locked Notre Dame. He didn't quite comprehend what a conference championship game was, so we had to explain that to him before we went on. He's a Notre Dame fan. So he's back. He cannot lock Notre Dame this week, so I don't know if you have any other helmets over there you're ready for this week or not, but I'm interested to see what you come up with at the end.
What's on the hat right now? Is that another Irish
It's
hat?
an old school Colts hat.
Oh, okay.
The glue factory.
The Eagles.
Yes.
There we go. Go.
Ovi appreciates the Delta sweatshirt.
Sectional
Shout
champs.
out to Ovi.
Shout out Ovi.
All right, so to start this week, a decent amount of coaching changes already going on. Ball State is a team we talk about quite a bit, so I'm going to start with San Diego State. Brady Hoke is out. Became kind of famous, had a great run with Nate Davis at Ball State. Went to Michigan after that. San Diego State, he's been there for a little bit. San Diego State is a pretty good program, brand new stadium. Like, it's things you like, but they kind of took a downturn this year. So Hoke is gone now. Carter, you have any thoughts on Brady Hoke from his Ball State days to now?
I remember rushing the field back when I still lived in Muncie when Nate Davis and then won the MAC championship. So that was a great memory. And then kind of sucks seeing him go to Michigan. Being a Notre Dame fan, always like to hate on Michigan. So, but yeah, it's kind of been a long, I would say, successful career, really.
Yeah, I don't think there's many complaints of what they did try to change their offense this year and go air raid, which that kind of was his downfall. Once they got away from that, they actually started to have a little bit of success, but I'm not sure why they went air raid, but they did, and now he's gone. So San Diego State to me is a job that I don't know. That's one of the better jobs in the nation. Houston, Dana Olgerson, he's gone. We'll see who replaces them. Again, that's another market you want to be the coach in, especially with Texas leaving to go to the SEC. Like I think that's a great job opportunity. A&M, we've talked about it the last few weeks. Jimbo's gone. $90 billion he's going to make to not coach. And Mike Elko from Duke. Did any of you guys? So I talked last week. Hopefully, someone went on and watched the Midnight Yell on YouTube. Did anyone? Reese, did you participate in any of those?
I did not.
Telling you, you've got to watch this. It's the stupidest thing you'll ever see in your life. But if you saw the Mike Elko press conference when he got the job, they had the Yell leaders there, and they were doing some of the chants, and it's so bad.
I think he was on. Was he on Pat McAfee today? I thought I caught a snippet of.
Yes.
Elko.
Yes.
And McAfee goes, "What is up with the Midnight Yell?" He asked about it, and Elko defended it and said,
No.
"What program out there can pack the stadium with 50,000 people?" He did not do that.
No. I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
You
It's
can't
hard to
defend that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was like, "What other program can put 50,000 in there the night before, just to yell or whatever the hell they do there?"
No, they don't yell. I'm telling you, you have to watch it.
Still got to check it out.
Yes, it's the dumbest shit you'll ever see in your life. I promise you. Just go watch it. They're all on YouTube, and they are terrible. Syracuse, Dino Babers out. DB coach from Georgia, Fran Brown, replaces him. IU, I talked about this all year. Tom Allen, I never knew how he had a job. $15.5 million from IU. Kalen DeBoer and Michael Penix should probably be getting a large portion of that. That's a lot of money for a terrible coach to not coach, especially at IU. Like I'm interested to see what they do for their new coach because IU is not really a program to spend a bunch of money on a football coach, and the Big Ten's only getting tougher at this point. Oregon State, Jonathan Smith is gone. New head coach at Michigan State, which was a little surprising to me. Boise State, we're actually going to talk about them in a little bit. They fired their coach in the middle of the season, Andy Avalos. Spencer Danielson has took them to the conference championship game now, and a lot of people want him to be the new head coach there. And then to finish it, Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby, the Oklahoma offensive coordinator, has returned to the SEC to be their head coach. You guys have any other comments on the coaching changes at all?
I mean, I think the big one there could be Jonathan Smith going to Michigan State. That could be a pretty hefty hire, considering what's going to be happening with the Big Ten here in the next couple of years. Yeah,
it was an unfortunate situation with him because obviously them and Washington State are the two that, I mean, no one's going to be that. When the transfer portal, I think their whole teams are going to be in the portal. So no one's going to want to be there. And then to go to Michigan State, but I think we talked about this a few weeks ago when we were like, Michigan State in the new Big Ten is probably like a 12th ranked team. Like they're in the conference. Like that's not even a good job anymore. I don't think. Like it's going to be impossible to win there.
Well, I mean, I think the benefit for them is that there's so many Pac-12 teams that are coming into the mix. Like he's going to be able to bring in some insight on recruiting against some of these other Pac-12 teams.
Yeah, but one thing I'll say though, and we talk a lot about this when we talk Pac-12. East Lansing's not Corvallis.
There's no.
That's a whole different world. Corvallis just built that brand new, like the whole add-on to the side. The stadium's ridiculously nice now, and you don't get the weather like you do in Corvallis. Like it's just a different atmosphere in Corvallis. To East Lansing, no one cares. Like no one's going to go there in fear of that game.
You think Uyunglele follows him?
No, because I do think the freshman will follow him that played a little bit over DJU though, because the freshman's a stud.
Childs, I think.
Yeah, I think he'll go. And if he does, they have a legitimate quarterback already because he's solid. I really liked him. I mean, DJ was great, but I think you take the youth and be happy with it.
Right. One other, it's not head coaching, but Bobby Petrino back at Arkansas. That was pretty wild.
Yeah, that is crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's one thing I never thought I would see again, but that's college football, I guess.
Oh, I did say that I was going to bring this up, that Mike New will be back for a 9th season at the Ball State University. So
we'll see how that goes.
Shot. Thank you, Khalil Kelly, for giving him that opportunity because that definitely turned our back half of the season around.
The question is, does Kelly transfer though? That's like I could almost see that. Like why if you get an offer from like an SMU or a Tulane or something like that, like why would you not go? Like I don't know. That's one player that I am interested to see because if he leaves, that's kind of Ball State's team.
100%. You saw what happened with the offense when he stepped in. I mean,
yeah, it was a huge difference.
Huge difference.
There's NIL money to be made.
Oh yeah, and Ball State's not dishing it out. Pizza King's not funding that school too much, so
they should be.
Come on, Pizza King.
Come on, Alan.
Speaking of which, if I go silent for a little bit.
Oh, this is not fair. This is ridiculous.
Such an asshole.
It is because I
did
the
king.
the king before the podcast.
Not even right. So ridiculous.
You have 3 people on this show that are from Indiana that would kill for that pizza right now.
Well, I know we don't have the Muncie 6-pack this week. I was going to save it in place of that, but since it got brought up,
you can have the Pizza King lock of the week.
There we go.
All right. So moving from the coaching, some transfer portal news, and this is changing by the minute. Clearly, some of these were just added like 20 minutes ago. To me, the biggest player in the transfer portal is Kansas State quarterback Will Howard. I think this is unbelievable that he's in the portal, and some team is going to be very lucky. I have seen Mississippi State kind of rumored already to get him. It's not for sure, but be an interesting fit at Mississippi State. But I think he's the best player in the portal so far, but that's not saying much with how many people are going to be in there in the end. My guy, Kansas State running back Trayshawn Ward, went from Florida State last year, transferred to Kansas State. I am really hoping he wants to come back, and next year he's back in Tallahassee. I'm not holding out too much hope for it, but it would be awesome. Miami quarterback Tyler Van Dyke. At the beginning of the year, this dude trademarked his name, Tyler Van Dimes. Where'd that get him? Did trademark Tyler Van sucks shit. That's what his name should be. He sucks. Fresno State. We're losing our backup. Quarterback Logan Fife is gone. Mikey Keene probably still be there. Fife was a good replacement, though. I am a fan of Fife. I'm interested to see where he ends up because I could see him even going maybe like a mag school. It'd be awesome if he went to Ball State. But we'll see what happens there. USC wide receiver Raleek Brown. He was the number 1 all-purpose back in the 2022 class. So there's another big name, big weapon for someone out there. Vandy, our guy Joey Lynch, offensive coordinator, lost his quarterback Ken Seals to the portal. Texas A&M quarterback Max Johnson, he is transferring to North Carolina. The guy I referred to for about half the season is Utah's running quarterback. Utah quarterback Nate Johnson's also in the portal. And Duke quarterback Riley Leonard. That's just a few of the probably 10,000 names that will be in the portal in a few weeks. But those are some of the key players. Do you guys have anything on anything with that?
I was a little surprised Grayson McCall entered the transfer portal. He's won the Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year like 3 times. Ridiculous numbers as a quarterback. So I'll be interested to see where he lands.
Well, you better watch out. He might go to Liberty with Jamie Chadwell because that's his guy. So
yeah. And then Brown, the receiver from Purdue, should be one of the better receivers to enter the portal.
Carter, what you feel of so I didn't mention his name, but I do know wide receiver, what was his name? Tobias, what's his last name?
Merriweather, and we lost Chris Tyree, and then the couple of defensive linemen.
I know you made the comment you thought he was their best receiver.
He was probably because he's a sophomore. He was probably the highest rated out of that class for sure. The freshman class is really good, and the incoming freshman class is going to be really good. But who's actually played, he would definitely be the best returning receiver, and he just announced he's going to the portal. Tyree is a 6-year guy. He got the COVID year, so he just wants to go to a different offense. And the 2 defensive linemen, it's just kind of a youth movement going on right now on the D line. So all of them kind of made sense except for Merriweather. But
how's Notre Dame's NIL spending been?
They say it's really good, but it's
under radar.
Put it out, yeah.
Yeah, it's Sam Hartman had to be one of the biggest NLI winners. All the big guys definitely have do pretty well, and they have Brady Quinn started the fund FUNND.
I did see that. Yeah,
everyone gets a piece of that, and I imagine it's pretty good, but they just don't advertise it like the SEC schools, and everyone else.
Well, I don't think anyone truly tries to say what they're giving, just because I'm sure there's even more behind the scenes that people don't know. But yeah,
Well, when you see Cam Ward has 6
yeah,
$1 million offers out there, like,
yeah, that's one we didn't mention because he's not officially in the portal yet. But Washington State quarterback Cam Ward has said to have 10 offers, and a few of them are for 7 figures already guaranteed. I believe the episode you were on, I think Washington State had a big game, and we actually talked about Cam Ward quite a bit because I've been a fan of his. I love Cam Ward, and he's one that if he goes to the right place, I mean, you're talking probably like a Heisman candidate. Like he's very solid. I would actually love to see him at Florida State, to be honest. We'll see what happens. I don't think that'll happen.
might be possible.
We kind of like our guys we have behind Travis, so. But neither of them are probably as highly as Cam Ward either. Reese, you got anyone? Oh, well, we didn't talk about. So the rumor also was Riley Leonard, quarterback, was going to be ending at Notre Dame. What are the 2 Notre Dame fans on the show? What are your guys' thoughts on Riley Leonard being your quarterback next year?
Go ahead, Scott.
You hope he's better than Sam Hartman, but if your receiving core is what it was this year, why bother?
That's true. They do need to. They had no receivers whatsoever.
And they fired their wide receiver coach. Go ahead, Scott.
Their offensive line at times when the receiving core wasn't showing up, was getting run over. So it just was a tough year for quarterbacks, receivers, the like. So I'm not sure that'd be a best choice for him personally. I like to see him develop some of these younger guys that they say have all this talent. Let's see what they got.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's kind of one thing that, I mean, Florida State has been one of the most portal used teams the last few years, which obviously we needed to be because from where we were coming from, you can't recruit 70 guys in 1 year. But it is kind of nice to see the guys develop on the team and stay there and have that longevity with them. But the problem that we're running into is they just leave. So, like, you might develop them for 2 years and they might start to get to that point, but then they leave and it's like, well, that's wonderful. Kind of like Trayshawn Ward did. So
scared of competition with the easy payday. And
yeah, I'm interested in what's going on at Kansas State that Will Howard and Trayshawn Ward both are transferring, because Kansas State, I mean, you have to think the teams that were better than them in the conference are leaving. Like, they would be a legitimate conference championship next year, and they're going to have the auto bid into the playoff, 12-team playoff. I think they would easily be a playoff team if those guys stayed. So it's kind of interesting to me that they're leaving. I wonder if there's more behind that than what we know. You get anything else on the portal at all?
I think the only one that we didn't mention was Deuce Ham from Colorado. He's gotten some press here lately just because he's one of the predated guys that were there before Dion showed up. Yeah, and Colorado just in this last 3 days has lost the number 1 quarterback in 24, the number 1 quarterback in 25, and the number 1 receiver. So they're having quite a bit of guys drop out of their commitments too. So I'm not too sure what's going to happen there. I think NIL is going to be a big part there. I think they're going to be more of a portal team than a recruiting team, it seems. But I know Dion wants to recruit, but it just seems like something that might be tough at this point for what they're trying to do. Kind of like the Florida State thing. Like, you can't recruit that many guys in 1 year. If there's nothing else on the portal
day, right? December 4th.
December 4th is the opening day for the portal. Yes. Well, I think that's when they can officially sign. Guys can enter now.
Officially, yeah,
like they can. That's the team they're going to, and they can go enroll. So with that, we're going to jump to the playoff rankings. Number 1 is Georgia. Number 2 is Michigan. Number 3 is Washington. Number 4 is Florida State. So right now, that is our current playoff. First round would be Georgia, Florida State, Michigan, Washington. Right on the brink, right outside. 5 is Oregon. 6, Ohio State. 7, Texas. 8, Alabama. 9, Missouri. 10, Penn State. Penn State is still a top 10 team. That's unbelievable. They would get beat by every team in America. It's so bad. So let's start with Ike. Ike, if you were to do your top 4 right now, who would they be and in what order?
My top 8 is the same as the playoff committee.
Exact same.
Yes, I think at this moment in time they have things correct.
What would happen this weekend to change your mind?
Oh, all kinds of upsets. If Georgia loses to Bama, there's going to be chaos. If Washington loses to Oregon, there's going to be chaos. Actually, are we getting to our predictions of what the Final Four ends up being later?
No. So if you want to give a prediction now as to what happens this weekend, that's fine.
It will spoil some of my picks, but I have the top 4 being Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and Texas. It's going to take.
So you think Texas would jump all of those teams?
Well, I think Oregon beats Washington, and I think that's going to put Washington and Texas in a debate there.
But what about Ohio State?
Ohio State, I think Texas as Big 12 champs,
they'll have a conference championship.
Will leapfrog them.
I don't know. I don't know if the committee would honestly. You got to think like last year, like they still put Ohio State in. I don't know. I'd be shocked if they had Texas jump Ohio State, even with the win.
Texas has a good resume. I think they're going to lay the hurt down this week. I think they know they have to, and I think they have a legitimate.
That's my 4 too.
Is that your 4 too?
Yeah, that's what I have right now. So,
Scott, what do you think?
He stole my thunder. I thought I was coming in with a big surprise. I think Texas has a better win than Ohio State when they beat Alabama by double digits at home. Their loss is worse than Ohio State's, losing to Michigan at Michigan by 6. But I just think Texas right now, will be conference champ, have a better win on the road. I think they leapfrog Ohio State. Washington loses. Florida State probably will actually lose. I just think that they barely squeaked by last weekend. Somebody's got a little game film now on quarterback number 2. So they're out. Ohio State's out. So I think Ike's got the right 4.
Reese, what do you think?
I'm a little surprised by this. These guys are coming in hot here.
Yeah.
I don't have that much shakeup.
I don't either.
This is kind of taken away from a game we're about to talk about. I've got Georgia, Florida State, Washington, and Michigan as my top 4 right now. And I think after this week, it will be Georgia, Florida State, Michigan, and Oregon. I don't think Florida State's losing this game. I think there's too much talent on that team going up against Louisville, and we'll talk about it here briefly, but I think Georgia maintains the number 1 spot. I don't see them getting beat by Bama. Kirby Smart knows how big this game is. Bama has not played up to the point that I think they're going to be able to offset Georgia. I'm not dinging Florida State like a lot of people are. I do think that Oregon's going to get beat, Oregon is going to beat Washington this weekend, and then Michigan's there. So I think the only shakeup is from what's there right now is Georgia, Florida State, Michigan, and then moving Oregon into the top 4. So
yeah, I'm kind of with you. My only shakeup I see this week is if Oregon beats Washington, they flip, and that's the difference. Like I think it's the same 4 with the exception of Oregon if they win. Clearly, anyone that's listened to this show is going to know who I'm picking in that game and who you're picking in that game. We've already done it once, so it's we're going to do it again. So
yeah.
And I think Carter, weren't you on during that week? I think you were with us. Weren't you with us Washington, Oregon week? Yeah, that's what I thought.
And I had Oregon. So
yeah, you guys both did. It's a shame.
And you locked Washington.
I think I remember texting you guys that whole game. Michael Penix shooting the arrow 4 times in a row.
Yeah, you sent that GIF about 22 times.
Well, he threw about 22 touchdowns. So. Oh, I forgot. We do have one more thing. I actually forgot about this. So we have the Heisman Trophy winner predictions before we get to our game picks. So right now, I only have 3 guys listed because I don't think there's anyone that even has a chance of winning other than these 3 guys. Bo Nix is the heavy favorite at -180. Jaden Daniels is +140, and Michael Penix Jr. is an absolutely crazy +1600. I don't understand. Let's start with Reese. Reese, I have a feeling I know who you're going to say here, but let's hear it out. Who you got?
Yeah, so I've been high on Bo Nix all year. I love that he's in the conversation right now for the Heisman, but I don't see how you don't give this to Jaden Daniels. So I took a pretty deep look into the stats, And frankly, I don't think it's close. Daniels has 4,946 total yards and 50 touchdowns on the year. Both of those are leading the FBS. 11 quarterbacks have won the Heisman since 2010. None of them have had more yards through 12 games. Lamar Jackson had one more touchdown, but not as many yards. And Tebow had one more touchdown, but I'm not going to go into that. He had over like 1,000 yards less. He's not the same deal. Comparing him to Nix, Daniels thrown for 40 touchdowns. Nix is thrown for 37, but Daniels threw 3 more with 74 fewer attempts. Daniels is slightly behind Nix in passing yards, but that still puts him at number 3 in the nation. He's number 1 in the nation at 11.7 yards per attempt. He's completed a nation best 63.6% on 20-plus yard throws. He's got 22 touchdowns and 0 interceptions when throwing over 20 yards. Leads the country with a 208 passer rating, which is a new NCAA record, and has a QBR of 95.6, which is also tops in the country. And that's before we even get into his ground game. He's gained 1,100 yards on the ground. He's the only quarterback in the country over 1,000 yards rushing. He's averaging 8.4 yards a carry, which is first among players with at least 75 attempts. Leads the nation with 10.71 yards per play and has been responsible for 90 plays of over 20 yards. Bo Nix's only argument right now is that he leads the country in yards and he has the best completion percentage in the country, but that's not nearly enough to supplant what I think is one of the more impressive seasons for a quarterback in the history of college football. So not giving Jaden Daniels this Heisman is highway robbery, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and I'm a huge Bo Nix fan.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think I've said it the last few weeks. It's like, how do you not give Jaden Daniels the Heisman? I watched him in person week 1. Thankfully, he threw a pick 6 that kind of changed the game, but still can't take away from what he's done. The rest of the season, he's been absolutely phenomenal. Just because we are a gambling show and sometimes we do like to throw out some long shot odds, how do you not throw 100 on Penix at plus 1,600, where if he goes out and puts a 4 or 5 touchdown performance this week and just throttles Oregon, which, I mean, it's probably not likely, but it's possible. I mean, he might have an outside shot of winning this. Like, there's a legitimate chance there. I don't think Nix is going to win it. I truly think it's Daniels or Penix at this point, which I know a lot of people won't believe, but Penix having a great performance, I think he can win it. If Nix is going to have 14 touchdowns in this game to win it over Jaden Daniels, I don't think that will happen. Let's go, Ike. Ike, who do you think for Heisman?
I have Bo Nix, who
unbelievable.
Now,
of course he would.
Now, the caveat is to play spoiler, which we already did because I gave my predictions. I have Oregon making the playoffs, and I think that should be enough. He would not be my pick, first of all. I would pick Jaden Daniels as well, but I think the media will latch on to him, leading them to the playoffs, and I think they'll give it to Nix.
I just think the SEC media and all the writers from the South and all of that, I think Daniels has a huge advantage in that aspect too. A lot of people don't even see Bo Nix because first off, they play some of the games on the Pac-12 network, which you can't see. Terrible. No, and then he plays at 10 o'clock at night sometimes. So, I mean,
and then, like you said, the only other person with a legitimate shot is Penix, and they could split some votes there.
True.
Depending on how things go. But I think it's Jaden Daniels I don't want to say to lose because he can't do anything.
He can't lose it. Yeah.
But I think it's Bo Nix's to win, and I think he's going to get the job done.
And it just surprised me. Like, I feel like Penix doesn't get credit. It's so like people clearly don't watch this guy play. He's the most accurate passer I've literally ever seen in shittiest weather that they play in out there. And really, their biggest game of the year was the Oregon game. Oregon gave him the ball with a minute some left, and in 2 plays, they were in the end zone and won the game. Like, and then no one even talks about it. It's like he truly doesn't get the respect he deserves.
I think Penix was the favorite the majority of the season, but his numbers just fell off too much towards the end.
Well,
and I mean, numbers aren't everything, but he's just so far behind those guys.
Yeah, but you have to look at their schedule too. They played some of the toughest teams in the nation the last 4 weeks. Like that should be part of it.
It should be.
Scott, who do you got win the Heisman? Sam Hartman?
Heisman for Hartman all the way. I think there were some odds on it at the beginning of the season.
There was, yeah, you're right.
I think Harrison from Ohio State is the best player in college, but I don't think that he'll be anything higher than 5th. He might get an invite, but I think that's where he's at. The top quarterbacks out of LSU, but I think Bo Nix is going to get the love and and the losses. He's going to go into the playoffs with 0 losses, where LSU has 3. which will, I think, be the deciding factor, even with all the statistics kind of put on one side. But I do love Michael Penix from Washington. He just started off so hot, but I think he has cooled off quite a bit and kind of faded. And with Oregon going to beat Washington this weekend, I think that that's going to be the deciding factor for Bo Nix.
Yeah, and I think Daniels is kind of the Johnny football year, Johnny Manziel. Like the team wasn't that great, but the stats are just so crazy that it's like you almost have to win. But Manziel did have the Bama win that year too. Daniels really doesn't have that win this year. So
no, yeah, I think that's going to be the difference. The 3 losses.
Yeah,
it's Heisman's gone so much to the best player on the best team instead of the best player.
What jabroni school did LSU play the second last week of the season?
Well, they played a few. They played Grambling. They've played, I think, Alcorn. I think they played Army. They played
that second last game of the season, like that cupcake SEC week.
Was it Abilene? I don't know. I
don't remember, but every other legitimate quarterback left the game at halftime. Jaden Daniels threw 7 touchdowns and played the entire game.
Well, that's Brian Kelly for you. That's
and
Carter.
I think that could sour some people on him.
Carter, what you got for Heisman?
So Brian Kelly goes down to LSU and finally gets all the talent in the world.
Family.
He gets a Heisman winner. I got Daniels winning it, but he loses 3 damn games. Come on, Kelly. What's going on here? But
started 0-1 too.
It's not Daniels' fault that they don't have a defense down there. I think they gave up 44 points a game in those losses. And I think a couple things hurt Penix and Nix is the West Coast bias. I know Caleb Williams won it last year, but there is a West Coast bias that not everyone gets to really see those games being late. And the Heisman Trophy, I mean, to me is kind of a joke. It doesn't necessarily always go to the best player. A lot of these guys probably already turned their ballots in already. So
which is ridiculous.
It's a good point. Yeah. Penix goes out there and wins this game. To me, he should win it. And
I think so too. If he puts on a a 5 touchdown performance, like why would he not? He led an undefeated team in the best conference in football and just absolutely dominated. Like I don't know. It's crazy to me.
But like I said, I think a lot of the ballots are already in. And I think Daniels, Reese's breakdown of all the stats right there, he's the best player in football to me. But fuck Brian Kelly. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I hate Brian Kelly.
Bless you.
So Kelly 0-1 versus the Noles this year. Jaden Daniels throws a pick 6 against the Noles this year, so I'm counting it as a win for us regardless. So. All right. It is time. Let's start this. Conference championship game picks. We're going to kick it off Friday night, 7 o'clock, CBS Sports Network, Conference USA. This is actually in the home of Liberty. So it's in Lynchburg, Virginia, at Williams Stadium. New Mexico State is entering the game at 10-3. Liberty is 12-0, and Liberty is a 10.5-point favorite. New Mexico State is on an 8-game winning streak. Their lone conference loss was at Liberty, 33-17, back on Saturday, September 9th. Liberty has first-year head coach Jamie Chadwell, which came from Coastal Carolina, which we mentioned earlier, and they are entering the conference championship game undefeated. Let's start with let's see who Ike has in this one. Ike, who you got in the battle for Conference USA?
I took Liberty, and I'll give the 10.5. They led the country in rush yards this year, which is crazy to me that one of the academies didn't lead the nation in rushing this year. Caden Salter, I think he has 40 touchdowns this year. He's like 3rd or 4th in the country, which is still 10 behind Daniels, which again shows how crazy Daniels' numbers were. I know it was back in September, but we saw this game already, and it is harder to beat a team twice in a row. But Liberty it's their game to lose. I don't think they're going to lose it.
All right. So Ike's on Liberty minus 10.5. Carter, who you got?
I'm with Ike. 10.5 is a lot of points. It is tough to beat a team twice, but being at home, give me the Flames.
Scott.
I'm the same. Liberty, they've already beat them. It wasn't close. More of the same this weekend.
Guys are loving the Jesus school. Reese, who you got?
I'm going against the Jesus school here.
I am too.
Yeah. So that game was 33-17, but it was a one-score game going into the fourth quarter, and the Aggies have won 8 straight. So I do think Liberty wins this game, but I don't think they cover. So I'm going to take the Aggies here plus the 10.5.
I am on New Mexico State. Also, I gave out Coach of the Year last week to New Mexico State. I think this is one of the best jobs that we've seen swing in the season. Like I'm very big on New Mexico State. I think they outright win. Even like I
This
love
isn't
what they've
Auburn
been
they're
doing.
playing. This is Liberty now.
Liberty might be tougher to play at. We'll see. They're not even allowed to have alcohol there, so we'll see. All right, so we got Ike, Scott, Carter, all on Liberty. Reese and I, the host, we're holding it down for us. We got New Mexico State. All right, here we go. We've talked about this game quite a bit. I think everyone's already gave their pick, to be honest, but well, I guess not with the spread. Friday night, again, an hour later, so have your second TV ready for this one. 8 p.m. on ABC, the Pac-12 Championship in Las Vegas at the home of the Raiders, Allegiant Stadium. Oregon coming in as a 9.5-point favorite versus Washington. Oregon's 11-1, Washington's 12-0. Oregon's lone loss was on Saturday, October 14th in Seattle to this Washington team, 36-33. Since then, Oregon has rolled pretty much everyone with the exception of USC. This, in my opinion, should be considered a play-in game for the college football playoff. Let's start Carter.
I agree. This and the Bama-Georgia game, I think, are kind of play-in games for me. Oregon going into that hostile environment. I mean, a lot of people said they should have won that game, but they didn't. 9.5 was kind of surprising to me to see when I saw the spreads come out. I'm going to go with Washington getting those points. I think they can hang around and keep it within a touchdown. Yep, Penix going to be shooting the bow.
Scott, who you got?
I think Oregon's going to win, but they won't cover.
All right.
Like he said that it's going to be a lot closer. I think it's going to be one of those last drives, great game. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I anticipate. Unfortunately, it's going to be like 12:30 in the morning by the time we get to the fourth quarter in this one. But I think it's going to be a great ending. Ike, who do you got here?
I'm with the Notre Dame boys again. I've got Oregon winning, but I have Washington covering. I think 9.5 is disrespectful. I mean, it's just straight up wrong.
It's so ridiculous. It honestly is.
Oregon's top 10. They have a top 10 offense and defense, and they've had a reasonably tough schedule as well. I mean, the Pac-12
definitely.
Gauntlet. I mean,
yeah.
Eyeball test. Oregon just looks like the better team to me. I mean, Washington's won. I mean, you can't take that away from them. They won head-to-head, and they've won every game they've played this year. But they've had a lot more closer games, and I feel you can only have so many close games before you let one of those slip.
Ike sounds like the college football playoff committee right now.
The difference is
I'm getting annoyed.
Washington is comfortably in right now.
Yes.
So
all right, I'm going to pick next because I think I have a feeling where Reese is going here. So I'm going to go Washington. Clearly, this is not a surprise. To me, I will say it. I don't care. They are the best team in college football. I've said it all year. I love what they do. Jalen McMillian was back last week. He is healthy. They finally have the full offense back. The defense is still coming along. They're not terrible. Like, they can play defense. I think they can match Oregon on D. They're better on offense than Oregon, and I will stick with Washington to win this game and make the playoff. Reese, what's up?
Yeah, so obviously a game I've been waiting on for a while after that loss earlier in the year. Lanning had a couple questionable calls in the last matchup. I think he's learned from those mistakes. I think Oregon wins this matchup, but I don't think they cover the spread. So I am going to take the Huskies here in the 9.5. I think the 9.5 is just too much. This game's probably going to be between 3 and 7.
All right, so we have 4 people predicting an Oregon win, but everyone is predicting a Washington cover. So we are good there.
It feels like one of those Vegas trap games also. Like, they know something we don't. Why is it set that high so everyone is betting Washington? So I guess I wouldn't be surprised if Oregon just comes out and blows them out of the water.
Well, what will probably happen is at what time does it start? 8? At 7:58, they'll announce Penix isn't playing or something like that. And that's how it always goes. College football, it's always lovely. Saturday at noon on ABC, the Big 12 Championship from Arlington, Texas, home of Reese's Cowboys. Oklahoma State is 9-3. They're playing Texas, which is a 14.5-point favorite at 11-1. Oklahoma State's coming in led by their star running back, Ollie Gordon. He's trying to make sure Texas doesn't take the Big 12 championship with them to the SEC. Texas's only loss this year was in the Red River Shootout when they lost to Oklahoma 34-30. Let's go.
Don't go to Carter because he's got laundry to do.
God damn.
I touched on it earlier. I think Texas knows they need to make a statement this game. I think they're going to come out and make it. I did see Coach Gundy, Coach of the Year, Big 12 Coach of the Year, announced again this year. And
that's right.
He traditionally does not get blown out. He shows up in big games. And when he does let one slip, it's usually against some patsy cupcake school. But I think the opportunity to potentially backdoor their way into the playoffs is enough for Texas to show up and really blow this one out of the water.
I'm actually going to go next because I'm going to play off what you just said. I talked about this when Oklahoma State played Oklahoma in Bedlam. Gundy does not want to lose to these teams. He absolutely hates these teams. And if he can beat Oklahoma and then beat Texas and ruin their playoffs and their conference championship and then say, we will never play you fuckers again, like that's got to be one thing he is running for. Like, I am on Oklahoma State to win this game outright. I think he comes and makes a statement and it's over. And he runs the Big 12, kicks them out, and that is Gundy to a T. You're right. He'll lose to FAU and not care. But these are the games he gets up for. And Ollie Gordon, Jesus, what this dude's been doing since he played. We went over his stats a few weeks ago. Like, it's just absurd. Like, not many people watch Oklahoma State play, but Ollie Gordon is an absolute stud. And I think he's going to give Texas trouble. Plus, Texas has had the benefit of Houston should have beat him. They got absolutely screwed on a spot. Kansas State went to overtime with them and made a terrible play call that could have won that game. Texas is, you want to talk about your close game theory. Texas has had plenty of close games, and I think this is the one that catches up to them and they get it.
Well, they did have one slip already. That's the difference I have between them and Washington. But
yeah, but the rivalry game, it's a little different. But Oklahoma State hates them just as much as Oklahoma does. So that's where I think it's just as big of a game. And it's neutral site, just like that one was. Let's go, Scott. Scott, who you got in this one?
I'm a Texas all the way. The Oklahoma State's got a puncher's chance, but I really see that's about it. Texas has more talent at every position across the board. It's a shame their running back that blew out his knee a couple weeks ago. He was such a potent part of their offense. But all in all, Texas is better talented. I won't say better coach because I really like Gundy from Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
But I just think they have too much talent and the stakes are too high to let this one slide.
Carter, what you got?
I've got Texas covering this. I like, you made some good points about Gundy. I mean, I could definitely see him getting up for this game. But I just think they're too one-dimensional. And Texas will be able to – I mean, I won't say shut down Ollie. No one's really shut down Ollie. But I don't think any way they're going to stop Sarkisian in this offense. And they're going to hang 42 points on him. And I don't think Oklahoma State can keep up with them. So give me Texas.
Reese.
Yeah, a little bit of a tough prediction because Oklahoma State's been a little Jekyll and Hyde these last few weeks, but I think Jonathan Brooks being out is going to have an impact here. I also think 14.5 is too rich, so I don't know if Oklahoma State's going to win this outright, but I'm taking Oklahoma State plus the points here at a neutral site.
All right. One of our favorite conferences to talk about this year. I'm surprised this game's not on the plus. So Saturday at noon on ESPN, the MAC championship coming from Detroit, Ford Field, home of the Mighty Lions. Miami of Ohio, 10-2 on the season. Face Toledo, they're 7.5-point favorite. They're 11-1 on the year. Preseason predictions, me and Reese did a MAC championship prediction, and Toledo was your team that you picked to win it. And my team, I don't know what happened. Apparently, they decided to quit playing halfway through the season. Miami of Ohio has lost the last two games this year. Or no, they've lost 2 games this year. Sorry. The first was week 1 against the shittier Miami, the Hurricanes. And then the second was Saturday, October 21st to this Toledo team in Oxford, 21-17. They have continued winning, even though they lost quarterback Brett Gabbert for the season. Quarterback Avion Smith has taken over for the Red Hawks. Toledo's only loss this season was week 1 also at Illinois, 30-28. You kind of have to wonder if that week 1 loss cost Toledo a chance at a New Year's Six Bowl. Reese, Toledo has been your team all year. I'm going to go to you first just because this is something we've talked about almost every week. So do your boys handle the 7.5 and clinch the MAC?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be a higher scoring affair than it was earlier with the 21-17, but I think Toledo puts a nail in the coffin here. I'm going to take the Rockets here minus the points.
Carter.
Interesting. Ball State actually played both these teams really tough. I think it was like 13-7, and I don't know. It was a one-score game, and the other one
Toledo game was terrible weather, but yeah.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
I was just going back looking at the records. I'm like, wow, Ball State actually hung with both these guys. I'm going to take Miami getting 7.5. I think it'll be a close game again. I mean, Toledo probably win, but I'm going to take the points. And I wonder, too, Jason Candle's name's going to be thrown all around on these coaching jobs, so maybe that causes some issues with him. But yeah, I'll take the points here.
Scott.
I'm the same. It's the Irish blood keeping us together there. I'm Miami, Ohio with the points.
Ike.
I kind of want to change my pick because I've been with the Notre Dame boys the whole time.
Attaboy, Ike.
But I've got Fins up, DeQuan Finn leading the charge. I've got Toledo, and not a blowout, but I'll take this. I'll give the 7.5. If we were allowed to, I would move that down to 7 and take it for a little bit of insurance policy. But I know it's not allowed on this show.
That's right.
So I'll give the 7.5.
So it was interesting to see that Miami kind of struggled with Ball State last week. Like I know Carter, you just brought that up. It was an interesting thing to see. I actually like Toledo inside on the fast track at Ford Field. I like DeQuan Finn. Obviously, like I said, we've talked about this team all year. Toledo's a hard team. They were a very bad break at the end of the Illinois game away from. I literally think they would be in the New Year's Six with a win here. So it kind of sucks, but I do think Toledo covers the 7.5 here and wins the MAC. Saturday at 3 p.m. on Fox, we got the Mountain West Championship. That is going to be in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium also, which is home of UNLV. This is a home game for them. This is not a neutral site. Boise State is a 2.5-point favorite. They're 7-5 on the season, facing UNLV, which is 9-3 on the season. Boise's been very inconsistent, but they have won the last 3 heading into their matchup with UNLV. Which has only lost to the 2 powerhouses, Michigan and Fresno State, until they lost to San Jose State last week. So let's go, Ike. Ike, me and you are Mountain West fans. Let's see who you got here.
We are. I've got UNLV. I've got them winning outright. Boise State's 2-4 away from the Smurf turf. They're traditionally better at home than away, obviously. I would like to make a note that I think it's a bunch of crap that they let computers decide who played
it's
the championship.
So bad. That is one of the stupidest. San Jose State should be in this game.
San Jose State's on a six-game win streak, and they just beat UNLV, who I have winning the tournament. But
it's so bad. It's so bad. And
they got screwed over by that. I don't.
Yeah, that's one thing I'll never understand. I play it on the field. Like, why are we using, and why did we have to wait overnight to see who's playing in the game?
It's not like none of them played each other either. It would make a little bit of sense if none of them played each other, but I mean, that's settled right there on the field. San Jose beat UNLV last week of the season too. It's not like it was an early season fluke.
Right. San Jose State should 100% be in this game. They're probably outside of Arizona. They might be one of the hottest teams in college football right now too. Mm-hmm. Like I'm Arizona to me is number 1, but
yeah. But that said, I am taking UNLV outright.
Got ya. So UNLV on their home field to win and cover. So or get points. Let's go, Scott. Scott, who you got in the Mountain West battle here?
Although I do love the Smurf turf and Boise State when they had the Statue of Liberty play a few years back against Oklahoma. I think UNLV is just a better team this year.
Carter.
I'm with my boys here. I'm going to take UNLV, getting points Christ. At home.
We could have just had one of you on the show.
How to play away from the yeah,
a spokesman.
Basically a home game, so it is a home game. So give me UNLV getting points.
Reese, you got?
I'm going with history on this one. Boise State's won the last 6. I'm taking Spencer Danielson to make a push to keep his job. I'm taking Boise State here minus the points.
Yeah, we're going to hold it down for our show. I got Boise too, minus 2.5. I think Boise wins and covers. I like what they've been doing since the coaching change. And UNLV, if you look at their schedule, they honestly have not played like anyone. So the only teams they've played that are good, they lost to. So we'll go from that. I like Boise to actually win the conference championship, which when they fired their coach 4 weeks into the season, you would have never thought you'd be saying, but here they are. Saturday at 4 p.m. on ESPN, we got the Sun Belt. This one is also a home stadium game. This is in Troy, Alabama, home of Troy, Veterans Memorial Stadium. App State at 8-4 on the year, going to Troy. Troy's a 5.5-point favorite. They're 10-2 on the season. App State is on a 5-game winning streak, including ending the undefeated season of JMU, while Troy has only lost 2 games this year, and they were back-to-back in weeks 2 and 3 to Kansas State and JMU. Reese, who you got?
Yeah, Troy's going for back-to-back here, but it's not going to be easy. App State's won. They're on a 5-game winning streak right now. Aguilar's looked really good here the past few weeks. I think the Mountaineers are poised for an upset, so I'm going to take App State here plus the points.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and go next. I'm with you. I got App State also. I like App State to win this outright. it's
here comes three Troy picks.
3 Troy picks. I know. That's what I was thinking too. I said it a few weeks ago. App State lives for these games. When they were at JMU, game day was there. App State does not care. They will go into these places and they will beat their ass and they will take the championship. I like App State and Sun Belt champion Appalachian State. Here they come. Ike, who you got?
Who do you think I have?
Troy.
I've got them in I admittedly don't know a lot about the Sun Belt. I know that they have like 8 teams that are better than 500 or something. They have more bowl eligible
good conference.
than any other conference. Yeah. Like it seems like an anybody any given week type conference. I limited research I did. I noticed that Troy's top 10 in scoring D and they're 12th in total defense. And Appalachian State doesn't have anything that really stands out to me other than the win at JMU, but I thought JMU is a little bit overrated, as overrated as a Sun Belt team can be. I think if this wasn't their first year or second year, if they were eligible, put it that way, if they were eligible, yeah. I don't think they would have been as much of a media darling as they ended up being. So while it's still an impressive win, I mean, JMU beat Troy. I mean, they're still a decent team, but I think that win is holding a little more weight than it should. And I like them into Troy.
Since you said that, I'll give a quick shout out real quick to since Florida State beat Florida and ruined their bowl chances, that actually is what got JMU into a bowl this year. So they are going bowling, which is good. At least they're going to get that respect. So you were on Troy. Oh, also one thing that you said, just to note. So last year, if you remember when game day was at App State, it was the Troy App State game. And that's when App State won on that Hail Mary at the end of the game. It was an insane ending. So Troy's got a little bit of a revenge factor in this one too. I know it was a different team, but still. Scott, who you got in the Sun Belt Championship?
I love the fact that App State will go anywhere and play anybody. Yep. I still have fond memories of them beating Michigan. And I saw that while I was deployed overseas. So that really brings love. But on this one, I'm going to have to go with the men of Troy.
Oh, man, I thought we had one.
No. I thought for sure we were getting one there. Carter, who you got? Just tell us, Troy.
Appalachian State, boys.
Yes. Finally.
I think the second conference in a row that a team's getting screwed out. Like James Madison definitely should be in this game.
Yes, I agree.
I know the NCAA is incompetent and sucks, but I like Appalachian State. They always get up for these big games, and I'm getting points, so I'm taking App State.
All right, Saturday at 4 p.m., the same time. It's going to be tough to decide between the Sun Belt and this one, but thankfully there's multiple TV viewing options, so we can watch both. Saturday at 4 p.m. on CBS, we've got the SEC Championship. It's in Atlanta, Georgia, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Falcons. Georgia's coming in as a 6-point favorite, 12-0 on the season, facing Bama, which is 11-1. Georgia has only had 2 games this year, finishes 1-possession games. Carter, what 2 games were those, you know?
Say that again.
Georgia had 2 games, finishes 1-possession games this year. Do you know the 2?
Missouri and
one was last week.
Tech?
Georgia Tech was one of them. The other one was Auburn. Auburn and Georgia Tech.
Oh, yeah, Auburn. The vaunted Auburn running team. Yeah.
Jesus. And then Alabama's only loss was week 2 to Texas, 34-24. Scott, kick us off. Who you got to win the SEC here?
I think it's going to be close. I think Georgia and the points. Alabama, it's kind of been on a roll. They've sort of found their offense-ish. That last weekend, 31-yard Hail Mary, Auburn just misplayed that every way they possibly could.
Yep.
You only rush 2 and have a spy for your third defensive lineman. You give the quarterback a chance to do what he wants, and Alabama shouldn't even be in the playoff contest with that second loss, but here we are. So give me Georgia and the points.
Yeah, I think that Auburn defense might be the only defense I've seen worse than Notre Dame's 10 in a row on back-to-back plays from earlier this year. That was unbelievably bad how they played.
Had to bring it up again. Had to bring it up.
I mean, we had to. That was awful. Like, what are you doing? That couldn't have been the design. Like, it was very bad. Carter, what do you got in this one?
This is a tough one for me, I think. I went back and forth a few times. I think 6 is too much, so I'm going to roll with the Tide, getting 6 points. Tommy Reese is going to get that offense going. And
I should have known.
I mean, I think they're live to upset Georgia, actually.
I was trying to figure out why you came to that conclusion. Okay, that was why. I who you got in this one?
I'm giving the points. I'm taking Georgia. They lead Alabama in every major statistic there is: total offense, total defense, scoring offense, scoring defense. I saw they're second in the country in both third down conversions offensively and third down conversions defensively. So they keep drives going and they stop drives on defense. And that's one of that and turnovers are the two keys to winning. I just don't think Bama will be able to keep up.
Reese, what do you got for the SEC championship?
I'm taking Georgia. Just Georgia team's too good. Nobody's beat them in I don't know how many games at this point, 27, 28. When the spread's less than a touchdown, I'm not going to go against them. So I'm taking Georgia.
I am on Georgia also. I don't think this game's close. I think Georgia beats them.
Wolf over here.
I think that. Oh yeah, you were. I think Georgia beats them by like 24. Like, I don't think this game's close at all. That's why we're going to be tuning into the Sun Belt in our next one, because it's also at 4 p.m. Saturday on ABC, the American Championship from New Orleans, Louisiana, on Tulane's home field at Yulman Stadium. SMU, the horse team, 10-2, going on the road to Tulane. Tulane's a 3.5-point favorite. They're 11-1 on the season. SMU has won 8 straight, while Tulane's only loss this season was back in week 2 against Lane Kiffin in Ole Miss. Scott, who do you have for the American?
I'm Tulane. I just think that they've got more talent. They're both kind of on a roll, but I think Tulane's got more talent, and they're going to walk on this one. It won't even be close.
Not even close. I like it. Finally, Carter, are you going to give us a score on this one? Let's go to Carter. Carter, next. Give us a score prediction on this one.
Make sure it adds up, please.
Yeah, make sure it covers too.
Yeah. All right. Hey, one mistake. Come on now. I got SMU. I think they can light the scoreboard up. Let me score-wise, 35-31, SMU outright.
I like it. Ike?
I'm on Tulane. They're the defending champs. They've looked good all season. They didn't play this year, but they won 59-24 last year. I know teams are obviously different, but I mean, it wasn't even close last year.
And this is also for the New Year's Six Bowl for Tulane. Also, a win gives them the New Year's Six for back-to-back years when they had that huge win over USC last year.
Very good point. And that's like we were talking about with Texas. I think that's a huge motivating factor for a team.
Yep.
And I don't particularly think this one will be close either.
Reese.
Yeah, this is another team that's looking to take a conference title as they're walking out the door, because isn't SMU's going to the ACC after this year, right?
Yeah, we got SMU, we got Cal, and we got Stanford coming. How that constitutes the Atlantic Coast Conference, I'll never know, but here we are.
Yeah. Don't look at a map on that one. Should be a fun matchup. Tulane's defense is legit, but I think the horse team's going to be too much here. So I'm going to take the horse team here to cover, if not get an outright win.
This is my hardest one for the whole day. I really struggled with this one. I haven't even picked it yet, to be honest. Man, I think I'm going to go Tulane because it's the home field. It's a newer stadium. That crowd will be there. I think it'll be a great environment. And I just like what Tulane's offense does a little bit. SMU's defense, I'm not sure could stop Tulane's offense the whole game. So I do like Tulane to get the cover there at 3.5 and to make the New Year's
points. That point spread's moved a decent amount. I have 5.5 originally.
It did drop. It dropped 2 points. Yeah.
SMU, yeah.
So Saturday night, we've got 2 games going to be on at the same time. This one's an interesting one. Saturday at 8 o'clock on Fox, the Big Ten Championship from Indianapolis, Indiana, Lucas Oil Stadium, the Glue Factory. Michigan's a minus 22.5 point favorite. They're 12-0 on the season, facing Iowa. They're 10-2 on the season. Michigan has only played 2 one-possession games this year, but they are their last 2 games, which were Maryland and Ohio State. Iowa's 2 losses this year were to Penn State and Minnesota, and they have won 5 one-possession games. Let's start with Ike's Mr. Big Ten. Ike, tell us what you think about the Big Ten championship.
Mr. Big, it's must-see TV, let me tell you.
Hey, the hefty righty, Mr. Water Polo, is an absolute stud. So I don't.
Oh, it's going to be a horrendous game, I think. I have Iowa covering. I think 22.5 is too much. They've only given up more than 16 points once this year. Every single game they've held the team under 16 points, except for Penn State, who admittedly is by far the best team that they've played this year. But I think it's going to be a grind out, low scoring ish game. Michigan wins comfortably. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not even going to be close to a game, but I think they cover. I'll take the points.
What do you think the final score is? I'm just curious.
24-7.
Okay. Scott, what do you got?
Like you just said, Penn State's the best team that Iowa's played, and they really couldn't keep it close. And Michigan, beat Penn State. So I'm saying Michigan by 35.
I like it.
That's a
Carter.
big swing.
I'm with Scott. Michigan's going to roll here. I don't even know if Iowa will put a point on the board unless – they're going to have to get like a pick six is probably their best offense. And I don't know that Michigan's going to have to throw the ball. They're just going to run it right down their throat, and they'll cover.
Reese.
The disrespect for Mr. Water Polo.
I know. What kind of shit is that? You guys need to respect the hefty righty, Mr. Water Polo. This is absurd.
I love the nickname. Great nickname. But.
You can thank the Tuesday Night Touchdown podcast for that.
Right.
Yeah. So Michigan's outscored 3 Big Ten West teams this year by a total of 138-30. That might be the final score of this game.
No, Iowa's not scored 30. I can tell you.
Harbaugh. Well, that's if the 4th string guys are out there by the second quarter. Plus Harbaugh's back. I'm taking Michigan here minus the points. It's not going to be a game.
I honestly think the halftime score might be 35-0. Like I could legitimately see that as halftime. I like Michigan to get an easy cover here. I'm kind of with Scott on this one. Like this is not a close game. I don't think. I'm highly shocked, Ike, that you.
I wouldn't be surprised if it turns into a blowout, but I just think Iowa's defense is too good to get blown out. They're going to keep it close for a while.
But their offense is going to give up probably 14 or 21 themselves. Like I think the hefty righty will throw at least 2 pick sixes.
Not if they're in the game. If it becomes 14-0 Michigan early, it's gonna blow out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be huge. But I think Iowa keeps it close and
when you're
respectable for them showing.
When your T-shirts say punting is offense,
yeah.
At least the fans lean into it.
I am interested it's intriguing to me that Ike thinks that because I can't see this game being close whatsoever. So I am interested.
Like I said, there's no shot at winning. Absolutely.
Oh, I don't think so either.
I would bet my house on.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah,
but
you'd bet Ike's house? Just to be clear,
I'd bet Ike's house too. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'd probably bet mine on this one actually too. So also at the same time, Saturday night, 8 o'clock, ABC, the ACC Championship in Charlotte, North Carolina, Bank of America Stadium, home of the Panthers. Louisville rolls in at 10-2 on the year, facing Florida State. Florida State's a 2.5 point favorite, 12-0 on the season. Louisville's 2 losses this year were to Pitt on October 14th, and then last week they lost to Kentucky 38-31. Florida State finished the regular season 12-0 for the 4th time in school history, while having just 3 one-possession games, and only one of those was after September 23rd. Let's start with Scott, even though you've already kind of told us your pick in this one, but
I did. I already gave away the ship there. I think Louisville squeaks one out. Florida State, without the quarterback, they've got the film now to kind of do a week's worth of study. They've got some grad assistant that's been going over for a month. I think it'll be close. Louisville's kind of gotten up for some of the bigger games, and Florida State, just missing the mojo.
Carter.
I'm with Scott. I know this is upsetting to you that we're both picking against your Seminoles, but I think Florida State's key to winning is running the ball. Louisville's good against against the run on the defense, and Brian Brom, I think he's just going to draw up enough plays to get Plummer to win. And Louisville, they have been kind of an up and down team. They've gotten up for the big games, like Scott said, and last week being a rivalry game, maybe a bit of a look ahead for this big one. That was a letdown spot, so I'm going to take the Cardinals outright.
Ike.
Yeah, I'm on Louisville as well. Like Carter said, they have an excellent rush D.
Of course, you guys are.
They're 11th in the nation on rush D, so Benson's not going to beat them, and Rodemaker's going to have to do it, and I'm not sure he can. I'll be rooting for the Noles.
Benson can beat them.
We'll see. I mean, he can't. He's capable, but I have my doubts. They're like I said, 11th in the nation in rush D traditionally, and now playing this Florida State team where they can just sell out to defend the run. I just don't think the ground game is going to get going for Florida State.
I'll comment on that when I go. Reese, who you got?
I'm a little shocked right now, to be honest with you. I think this is partially because of that game on October 7th is why these guys are leaning into Louisville. Louisville's given up 34 to Georgia Tech this year. They gave up 38 to Pitt. I don't know. Rodemaker's been protecting the ball the past couple weeks. Florida State's got 5 turnovers the entire season. The Noles are clearly the better team here, with or without Jordan Travis from a talent standpoint. I think the Noles defense can help solidify any slowdown on the offense with Tate behind center. I'm taking the Noles here minus the points.
And what I would like to say on that is good luck selling out on the run when we have Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, and Jaheim Bell out there. Tate Rodemaker is good enough to pick them apart if they try that. Tate last year, Jordan Travis got injured at Louisville on the road. We were losing. Tate Rodemaker came in that game last year and beat them on their home field. He knows this team. He's not afraid of the big stage. We have way too many weapons, so they truly can't sell out on Trey Benson, or they will get destroyed through the air. Their only hope would be if it's a terrible weather game. There is supposed to be some rain, but even with that, I think that favors us more than them. So I like Florida State going to the playoffs. I think we covered the 2.5. So that does finish all of our championship games. So we are now on to the locks. Reese, go ahead and hit it. Scott, what is your lock for the week?
I'm going to take the easiest one that I can find is Michigan over Iowa. That's just
I disagree.
money in the bank.
I like it. So go ahead and lock Scott in on Michigan minus 22.5. Carter, we're saving Carter. Carter likes to do the locks, so we'll save him. Ike, who you got next?
I went with Tulane. I know you were on the fence about this game. You said you couldn't decide, but I don't think it's going to be close. I think they roll like they did last year and defending conference champs. Give me Tulane. Do I not get the lock one? There we go.
We were waiting on it. It's
yes.
Good. All right, Carter, your big moment. Who do you got for your lock of the week?
Well, I can't break out my Notre Dame helmet, sadly. We don't know what this conference championship business is about. I agree with Scott. I really like the Michigan pick as a lock, but I'm going to go with Texas.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that one. Reese, who's your lock?
I'm locking in on Florida State over Louisville.
Hell yeah.
Small spread. I don't think the Noles are getting enough respect for the totality of talent they have on the roster nationally or in this podcast room right now. Look for Coach Norvell to have this team fired up and use all of the shit talking that's been happening with this team to get these boys fired up and ready to go. So I am locking in on Florida State over Louisville.
Well, for the sake of keeping it different, no one's agreed yet on a lock, so I'm not going to pick one someone else has. There's two I love, but there's one to me that seems obvious, and I can't believe no one else picked this. Georgia's less than a 7. Like, to me, that's the lock of the world. Like, I'm on Georgia -6, Georgia -14, Georgia -21. I think to me, this is more easily locked in Michigan, to be honest. Like, I'm on Georgia -6 for my final lock of the college football season.
I'm shocked you didn't take Washington in the points.
I was going to
outright winning, and I mean 9.5 is an absurdly high number. But
it's a lot. I know. I think Georgia. There's no chance Bama keeps this close. Like I don't think there's any way it's under 14.
So, do you agree that this is Georgia's toughest test of the year, or you're not on that at all?
No,
not at all. Okay.
No, I don't think Bama's good. Like their offense is atrocious. Like they cannot play offense. Their only hope in this game is to do what Auburn did, but they don't run the ball and have as many trick plays as Auburn does. So I don't. That's how Auburn kept it close with them. Auburn barely threw the ball in that game. I truly don't think
Georgia as well. They ran it down Georgia's throat as well.
Oh, that's who I'm talking about. Yeah, against Auburn against Georgia. Is who I'm talking about. Yeah. I think Auburn was a better. Well, clearly Auburn should have beat Bama too. That's all that happened there. So, all right, I'm gonna try to roll through these locks and remember. So we got Ike on Tulane, Scott on Michigan, Carter on Texas, Reese on Florida State, and I am on Georgia. I think about that. All right. So that's going to wrap up Conference Championship Week. We'll be back next week, probably a little recap. Obviously, we will then have the official on Sunday at noon. I believe we get the official college football playoffs, what the semifinal games will be. So we'll be back next week with that. I believe Army-Navy is going to be that following Saturday, so we'll pick Army-Navy too. And that's probably about it next week, to be honest. I don't think there's going to be any bowl games at that point. So it'll be a pretty quick episode next week, just kind of a recap of the season, more transfer portal stuff, any more coaching changes. And then obviously we will go over the college football semifinals and the New Year's Six bowls. That's pretty much it. So for Ike, thank you for joining us. Scott, thank you. Carter, thank you. Reese, the fine citizen, back again. So we're wrapping up the college football regular season and conference championship weeks. It's unfortunately a very sad time of the year when it comes to this. This sucks. This will be a lot of last games for some of these guys because these guys are not going to play in bowl games if they're not relevant. So that's it. But we here in a few minutes we'll be recording an NFL episode as always. So check out the NFL episode. That is it. We will see everyone next week. Have a good week and thank you guys for joining us this week.
Cheers, guys.